Hello, crew. How are we? How's everybody going? I am back. And I did forget to remind you guys that there is a change of time for those of you in other countries other than Australia, which is a lot of you. Our daylight savings kicked in Australia on the weekend just gone by. So my usual live time for a lot of you, I believe is probably going to be missed today because I forgot to send you warning messages because I didn't have any internet for the last 5 days. So hopefully those of you that saw the notification turn up with me live here today, but there's going to be 2 time changes. So today, moving forward, is one of them. So for some of you, I'm going to be appearing live an hour earlier than I normally do. And that will be for a few weeks until some of you lose your daylight savings. And then it's going to be another hour's difference. So this is when it brings us a little bit closer together in time frame. So hopefully you guys find me and just know from here on in, this is my normal live time now, depending where you are watching from right now. So sorry, I forgot to warn you regarding that. I've got another apology too. Oh, how's this? Starting my first live since mid last week and I'm full of apologies. I did also mention to you guys that I was going to announce the winner of the Acts of Kindness movement today. And I've just been on a call with my VIP mentorship students for the last 2.5 hours. And just before I went on live with them, I realized there was another page that I hadn't included in my drawer. So I've got to fix that up. So I'll do it tomorrow. So for those of you that were participated in the Acts of Kindness movement from my free group, Social Media Strategies for Home Business Owners, I'll announce the winner of the 3 first, second, and third prizes tomorrow because there was an extra page of entries that I hadn't included. Okay, so I hope all that makes sense. So how is everybody? What I want to share with you today is a little bit about my journey. Some of you would be aware that I've just been off the grid for the last 5 days. I didn't go live for 3 of my lives last week that I would have because we went camping with 2 other families and there was no internet where we went, and we had I could probably say a disaster of a camping trip, but we still made it the best fun that we could have. And there's a little bit of a lesson in it. So I just want to share that with you today. 2 more quick things. Those in round 18 of my branding course, I am live with you guys for a live Zoom call with Build Your Brand on Facebook in an hour, just under an hour. So I'll see you guys then. And tomorrow this is going to confuse you, my new live time, which is now, I'll be half an hour earlier tomorrow. Do you get that? I'm probably confusing the hell out of some of you. But tomorrow I'll be half an hour live earlier than I am right now if you're live with me. If you're watching the replay, you're probably really confused. So sorry about that. So let's see who's here. We have Gloria. How are you, Gloria? Oh, you got a new profile pic, Gloria. That's very colourful. Hey, Susan. How are you? Hey, Chantel. How are you going? Good to see you on. We got Tina here as well. Thank you very much. Anybody appearing like that, it means you're watching from my group, my free group, which is called Social Media Strategies for Home Business Owners. And you just need to click the StreamYard link at the bottom of the description above. Hello, Janine. Lovely to see you on. We've got Christine as well. Welcome home. We've missed you. I hope you enjoyed your online break. So I'll share that journey with you in a second. Hi, Margene. Great to see you on. Hello, Michael. Hello, Heather. Hello, Adita. I've joined the gym. Awesome. So we're just having a chat about that. Awesome. So a little sort of inside joke there. Hi, Clarissa. How are you? Good news, earlier times. And yeah, wait for it, because in a few weeks' time, it'll even be an hour earlier again. Just the time zone things around the world is hard to navigate sometimes. Hello, Amber. Lovely to see you on. We've got Cindy on. We've got Steph. Great VIP call. Thanks so much. You're welcome, Cindy. It was a great call. So, my trip. So, firstly, I can't share how important it is to allow yourself to go off the grid a little bit. I mean, mine was forced because, and it was ridiculous, really. Between home and when I lost internet, I'm not kidding you, I didn't look up from my phone. I was planning this week. I was catching up on messages with people. And then when I lost internet, it was like, okay, that's it. Really weird feeling, but quite refreshing. I'm sure some of you would agree, building a business on social media in the online world, it just never stops. And sometimes that can get a little bit overwhelming. And there was a time driving home yesterday that I thought, geez, life would be so much easier if I wasn't in the online world. It would just be so much. I'm not going anywhere, so don't panic. But, you know, just the speed that social media moves, it's so fast. And, you know, going live and all the things that I've got going on, you know, sometimes it'd just be easier not to be in the online world because of that. But gosh, the rewards that you can get from the online world, the impact that you can have from the online world, the income that you can make from the online world, it's worth it. You've just got to learn to balance things maybe a little bit better, which is true for me as well. So let me share with you a little bit of the journey. If you've read my post on my personal profile, you've got a little bit of a clue sort of what happened the first few days. But basically, the weather destroyed us in the latter part of our camping trip. But geez, it was funny. But just a little bit of a summary. And I have a point to all of this, guys. When we arrived, it was great. It was mild weather. We set up the camper trailers. So 3 families. We had 7 kids, 6 adults, all set up. I had a great first night sitting around the campfire, you know, a few drinks, not too late at night, just, you know, settling in. It was awesome. The next day was really, really quite warm. We walked to these beautiful rock pools that you have to sort of climb over rocks to get there, and you've got to navigate the tide to even get to where you need to go. Like, it's just a beautiful spot. And just these amazing rock pools that were deep enough that you could dive in. And some of the kids got scratches on their legs, you know, just because of all the rocks that you're around. But that was great. And so, but in the first 5 minutes of arriving, those of you outside of Australia, do you know what I mean when I say brown snake? I have had people say to me that they won't come to Australia because of our snakes and our spiders. And they're not really around that much. But where we were, they were everywhere. Now, when I say everywhere, we didn't, you know, they weren't there, and there. Like, they hide in the bushes. But the first 5 minutes, we've got to this campground, and, you know, our group saw a brown snake. So it was like, whoa, here's a sign of, you know, maybe what we're in for. So that was the first indication that we need to be wary of brown snakes, and there's long grass and stuff like that. But the first couple of days were great. But the second night, gale force winds came in, and we're in camper trailers. So they're all pegged down, given, but none of us slept anything on that second night because the wind was just everything that could flap would flap, and the noise, the howling, and each one of us thought that our camper trailers were going to lift off the ground, seriously. So we all woke up the next morning absolutely shattered because we all got no sleep. Anyway, what also happened on that second night is the boys in the dark decided to go mountain bike riding. Now, how do you think that turned out? So my hubby does a wheelie. So one of the other hubbies decides to do a wheelie behind him. And guess what happened? He totally lost control. His head went down on a rock and he gashed all the side of his eye. Where was it? Yeah, no, it was above his eye, around about here. It wasn't Paul. It was one of the other dads that were with us. And so they patched it up. So all the wives were in bed. They patched it up the best they could. And then we woke up on the Saturday morning, and I was wide awake when Paul came to bed because I couldn't sleep because of the howling noises. So I sort of sat up when he came in, didn't say a thing. But we've got up the next morning and sort of looked at one of the other hubbies' face, and it's like, what did you do? And anyway, we decided a hospital visit was needed to go and get stitches and things like that. So then that took up many hours of the next day. Weather was okay. Went to the beach, the rest of us. Waited till they got back. Brown snake in the campsite, then a scorpion in the campsite. Like, it was just one comedy act after the other, really, with all these things that went wrong. Anyway, the third night, we go to bed and the rain starts. Like, it's getting cold, it's getting windy, and it rained. And it rained, and it rained, and it rained. And where we were staying, they had 42 mils of rain in that 24-hour period, I think it was. And that's the most rain, or the second time they've had that amount of rain in 60 years. And we happened to be camping in it. So have any of you been camping in the rain? So it rained and it rained all day. So we thought the only thing we can do is go for a drive. So the three of us got in cars and we had heaps of fun with mud and puddles and stuff like that. Beautiful coastline that we drove around. And the other two families got back before we did, and we were just having a little bit more of a drive around the town that was nearby. And as soon as we got back, I've looked around at where we parked the car, and I could see half our gear that was sitting underneath our annex over in a different area. And I've looked at Paul and I said, something's gone wrong. And they're all just staring at us. And I'm like, something's gone horribly wrong. So we get out of the car and we walk out, and our whole annex, which had our table, cooking gear, gas cooker, all our buckets, like plastic buckets with food, all of those kind of things. Obviously water, even though the annex was on an incline, obviously water must have collected during the day, and it just all smashed. Bottles everywhere, all our food was wet, gas cooker covered in water. Like, it was just like, oh my gosh, what else can go wrong? So that was that. That was that whole day. Like, everything was saturated. So we went to the pub for dinner to escape it for a while, which is worse because you get nice and cozy and warm, and then you got to go back out in it, get back to the campsite. And I think everyone pretty much went to bed straight away. And it rained again, the wind again. Like, it was just like, is this like for real? Like, are we really camping in this weather? You just sort of had to be there. Anyway, throughout all of that, we continued to smile and laugh. I mean, what can you do? It was too wet to pack up and go home. Like, you can't pack up camping when it's absolutely pouring with rain. You've just got to wait. And yesterday morning when we were packing up, everything was so wet. Like, it took us probably twice as long to pack up than it would normally. And just as we were about to hook up our camper trailer, the others are all ready to go, sitting in their cars. It absolutely bucketed down. And Paul couldn't get the hitch on, so he got absolutely saturated again. And then we sort of got home early evening last night. But it was seriously a comedy of errors. It's not good to go camping. To give you an example of the rain, where we went, an average rainfall roughly about this kind of year is about 30 mils of rain in a month. In a month. We got 42 in one day. So that'll give you an indication of the amount of rain that we actually had to endure while we were camping. And it got cold and windy and all the rest of it. It's not much fun. But my point to all of this is, if that was you, how would you fare in that? I think it's helpful when you're with other families and you can just laugh at each other, around that. The kids are really adaptable. They didn't really care. But there are some people that just can't handle that kind of stuff, and they just complain. And there were some people when we went to the pub and had dinner on that last night, you couldn't cook anything, and our annex had collapsed. We didn't have any space to cook anything unless it was inside the camper, and we weren't going to do that. So we had to go out for dinner anyway. But some people really don't handle situations, like that very well. So there was one point where I was lying in bed, and I think it was night 2, when the wind was just ridiculous. It was gale force winds, and I'm lying there thinking, I don't feel safe.
I really didn't feel safe. I felt like the camper was going to rip or something like that. Like I actually had not a lot, but just a little bit of feeling of, I really don't like, when you really want something to stop, like just please stop, rain, please stop, wind, make our family safe, all the rest of it. So you can go into that sort of frame of mind. But here's my point with all of this. We could have all got really shitty, for better of a lack of word. We could have, interpreted that experience in a completely different way. The families we were with, the kids that we were with, everyone was really resilient considering what we were going through, and we chose to laugh and have a positive, attitude with everything that went wrong. And even at the times where I'm lying in bed going, I don't know if I actually feel safe. Can you please stop, rain? All those kind of things. I very quickly changed my mindset into what I was grateful for. I had to, because I was, not panicking, but I just didn't feel comfortable. And it's like, I'm grateful that I actually have shelter. I'm grateful that, my family are all safe. We're actually undercover. I'm grateful for that all our friends are here together and we're experiencing this together, even though it wasn't the best environment that we were in. So it leads me, my point with all of this is there are always, and I guess I should back up for a minute. I haven't even introduced myself if there's anyone here new, but if there is, please let us know so we can say hello to you. But my first video of the week is always something to do with personal growth and personal development, because at the end of the day, the buck stops with you and the way that you think. And any one of us could have very easily got really angry, wanted to go home. Woe is me. This is a terrible situation. It could have been a completely different kind of trip if there was any one of us in that group that was really down and out about what was going on. But everyone was really positive. Everyone chose to, have a positive sort of spin on it. And I chose to actually be grateful for things that were going on, even when I didn't feel comfortable. So I just wanted to share this with you because your loudest and most influential voice is your own. And it all comes down to attitude. And I'm so blessed to have the friends that we do and the trip that we just had, because everyone had an amazing attitude. But this is not always the case with the people that you live with, the friends that you might have, family members that, that are around you, close to you. Not everyone has a great attitude. But I'm really, really grateful for everybody that was with us on this camping trip, and the attitude of everyone was amazing. I mean, what can you do? But your attitude dictates everything. Your attitude dictates your experience. Your attitude will work against you or for you in any experience in life. And I was reminded of this again last night when I was watching the TV. So I presume you guys, and this is coming from somebody in Australia, we have the show called America's Got Talent. So I don't know if this is airing at the same time or we're getting it way after you guys in the US have had it. But there's this guy. Tell me if any of you guys have seen this. There's what we're seeing on our screens at the moment. It was on the TV last night. Was this guy called Archie Williams. And he's a singer. But he got put away in jail for 37 years for something that he didn't do. And he stood up there last night on this TV show and, basically said, yeah, I went to jail for 37 years, but my mind never went to jail. I've always had a positive attitude. I always knew sort of what it was, visioned what it was going to be like when I got out. Now, let me ask you, how many of you would maintain a positive attitude if you ended up in jail for 37 years for something that you didn't do? But this guy is amazing. And it all comes down to the way that you think about things. Now, hopefully no one is subject to anything like that is listening here live or on the replay. But it just goes to show your attitude will make you the person that you are today and moving forward, in good times, in bad. I got a message from my girlfriend last night saying, I'm sorry it wasn't the experience that you thought it would, and we couldn't show you everything that we wanted to because they invited us on this camping trip. And it's like, you know what? It doesn't matter. We just got better memories to share. We've got funny things that we can look back on, and it's all in how you perceive things. So think about this in your business. I don't doubt there's things that are not going well for you in your business right now for some of you. Maybe you haven't achieved what you want to achieve. Maybe you're not as further as ahead as you thought you would be by now. There's probably things that are not necessarily working well for you, maybe for some of you, in your online businesses, direct sales businesses, whatever it is for you. But your attitude regarding what you do about it moving forward is what counts. It's not, I was just talking to this about the VIPs in a slightly different context, but the past is the past. Leave it there. It doesn't matter what's happened in the past, in your businesses, in your life and stuff like that. It doesn't mean you'll forget things, but you can't change it. So don't dwell on it. If something hasn't happened for you so far, then it hasn't. You can't change that. You also can't change the future. You can maybe change the direction that you go in, but you can't change the future because you're not there yet. You can't change something that hasn't happened yet. But when you do affect change, VIPs, are you hearing me? We're just talking about this. What you can change is here and now. What we just went through in our camping trip, we could have all had the attitude, this sucks, let's go home. Let's get out of this cold, wet, ugly weather, get dry and all the rest of it. But we hung in there and it was fun. So having a good attitude is everything. Your biggest critic in your life is your own inner voice. So even in the worst situations, when things aren't going well, it's your attitude that'll help you get through it or make it worse. We could have complained and all those kind of things with what happened in the last few days, but we didn't. We just made the best. We just made the best of what we had, and it was sort of quite fun, at the end of the day. But your attitude towards life, relationships, friendships, your business, it'll make you or break you, guys. So you get to choose. Are you thinking positively about something? Have you got a great attitude towards life? Or are you playing the victim? Are you blaming somebody else for your lack of results? Maybe it's your upline or your mentor or something like that. Are those the kind of conversations that you have in your head? So it's just a good check-in to, even when things are going wrong, be grateful for what you do have around you and what's happening in your life. And also just to check in with yourself in what kind of way do you think? Not for a minute there did I think, let's go home right now. It didn't even cross my mind. It was just like, oh, how are we gonna get through this? So I'm just going to check in with a few comments that you've got there. Like my carbon monoxide detector that went off at 3 a.m. that ended up being just a dead battery in the camper. You do what you have to do and smile through it. Yeah, there's no use complaining. Oh my, that's a lot of water. It's just, is this ever going to stop? No problem. That's part of my adventures. I've had bears, bison and elk wreck my camps. Yeah, well, you've had animal invasions. And yeah, brown snakes, if you know anything about them in Australia, they're actually very poisonous and they can kill you. So we had somebody walking around the back of our campsite say to us, I've just seen a brown in that bush. So we monitored it and we saw it and we found it. But yeah, it's just, when you got kids around, kids don't care if it was just you and Paul and the boys. You might have been cranky, but because there was 3 families, you tend to say more positive, I think. And I totally agree with that, Cindy. If it was just the 4 of us, we probably would have, like Paul and I might have ended up arguing. But I think there's merit in camping with families because you just don't do that. We're going camping in a few weeks, not sure about the brown snake. So I might be warming up, a little bit in a few weeks' time, Janine. So definitely keep your eyes out. I mean, the trick with brown snakes is just not to move suddenly, which is a really difficult thing when you see a snake, is not to, run away from it. But that's when they fire. And so you just got to stand still and you just, brown snake lesson, guys, because we're experts after the weekend. Well, we do get them around our house here because we've got 5 acres here. Is just to stomp on the ground because they don't like the vibration and they'll move away from the vibration. So hammers are good, Janine, as a bit of a tip. Carry a couple of hammers and maybe a shovel would be a good idea. I would probably have packed up and found a motel or a different place to camp. And, a lot of people did. I will tell you, a lot of people left the campground. They couldn't stick it out. But there were a lot of people in tents. I don't know how they didn't get ripped up and thrown away on when we had the gale force winds on the second night. I don't know how they survived it. But a lot of people did stay. This reminds me of the mindset model, safety versus comfort. Yeah, good one, Amber. Hi, Olive, how are you? I think we would have gone to a motel. Well, where we were, there weren't any options like that. We were out, I don't know if any of you in Australia know what this is called, but it's called Butler's Beach. So there's a homestead and then where you pick up your key and your camping ground. And then like the beach is there and it's just all camping ground. And the nearest town is Marion Bay, for those of you in Australia. And there's no accommodation. If you've got a holiday house, you'd be all right. Ups, I think I would be the first to complain. I would probably pack up and go home or find a motel near. So no hotels or motels to go to, not an option. And we are literally more than 5 hours away from home. So it's not like you can just, you're home within an hour. I mean, if that happened at the farm, our farm, we're 15 Ks out from the farm. We'd just pack up and come home. But when you're 5, potentially 6 hours away, if you stop, you just can't. So it's interesting how people handle situations like this because we couldn't pack up and go to a motel or a hotel. The wind around here always scares me because of the tall trees. Yeah, that's a good point. I've had all my camping finished years ago when I camped in snow, wind in Spain, built a business and travel in style is my way to living these days. I will admit, in the middle of the rain, I'm thinking I'm such a cat. Like I would much prefer a cabin than camping. That would be my go-to every time. But I don't mind camping because I think it's good for something different, and I think it's great for kids. So if I could have hired a cabin, they had pods there. I'll stop talking in a minute, guys. But they had these purpose-made. They're called pods. And I had a look in the door when they were cleaning one. There's only 2 of them on the property and quite expensive, but it was just a bed and a table and a little kitchenette. And with the ocean where it was, your back was to the ocean. So I didn't quite work it out. But yeah, that wasn't an option to stay in. It all comes down to the fact that it's a choice. Your mindset is yours. And I said before that the loudest and most influential voice you'll hear in your life is your own, and you get to choose what you say to yourself and say to others. So choose your words carefully, whether it's talking to other people or even talking to yourself. Awesome that everyone had a great attitude. Yeah, it was. I'm reading a great book about this useful belief. Chris Helder. Thank you for that, Janine. It's always good to share good books. Love that show. Archie Williams, you saw him, you know who I'm talking about. He was unbelievably positive. I don't know how I could spend 37 years in jail and not come out resentful. I just think he's amazing to have spent 37 years in jail and say, yes, I was in jail, accused wrongly, but my mind never went to jail. Like that, it's just so incredible. Beth, yes, I saw that on America's Got Talent. What a story. And he kept so positive. So that's something to think about, guys. When you're having a bad day and you're having a shitty attitude about something, think of Archie Williams. Store that name in your head. I'm sure many of you, if not all of you, have never been to jail before. So think yourself lucky. Glad you guys got away. What an adventure. Yes, Emma, snakes. You have lots of stories to tell from your adventure. Positive mindset is key. Now, and I just think of the memories. I did a live today with Laurie, change on how you react to it. Absolutely. Give me 5-star. That's my attitude. And everybody loves different things. Like I would much prefer to be in at least a cabin than a tent. But I do see the benefit in camping and just being with friends mainly. So go away with other people. Maybe is the key to getting through, something like that and having a good laugh. But my message really for the day is check in with your attitude. How do you perceive life? How do you talk to people? How do you talk to your kids? How do you talk to your partner, husband, wife? How do you look at life? How would have you handled a situation like that? So I'll leave that with you to think about. So it's awesome to be back on track now. Had a little bit of a break. It's just done me wonders. Just clear the brain. It's good to have a what do they call it? Detox. That's the word I'm looking for. Detox from social media for a few days, a forced one. So I will see you guys at my new live time, but half an hour earlier, if that makes sense. And I will announce the winner of the Act of Kindness movement, the first, second, and third prize for that tomorrow as well. So make sure you join me. Again, apologies today. I was geared up to go and then realized there was another page of names that I hadn't included. And I was on a call for 2.5 hours before I jumped on this live. So I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Have a great rest of the day, whatever part of the day it is for you. Group 18 in the branding course. I'll see you guys in 30 minutes. Okay, bye.